For those that watch the channel regularly, know that I try and cover everything in the Cardano ecosystem. There's so much happening, and this episode is a little bit different because I'm covering Ergo. This is ErgoPad, and I have the CEO, Marty, joining me on this episode to talk about the platform and how someone from the Cardano ecosystem can possibly participate in their Launchpad and some of the really cool projects that are coming out there. I hadn't had a look into any of this stuff, what's happening in the Ergo ecosystem before. There's just so much happening in the Cardano ecosystem. It's keeping me quite busy. It's literally one video a day covering all sorts of different aspects. So it's a lot to cover. So I thought I would have Marty join me and talk a little bit about some of the projects that are coming through their Launchpad so I can find out a little bit more. We also go through a couple of the differences and similarities between the two chains, and that's why I thought I would have him on and talk a little bit more about Ergo in general. Let's get into this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast.
So I want to know about you first, and also why Ergo. So how did you get into the crypto space, and why did you settle with Ergo?
I got involved in crypto years ago, around 2013. I really valued the first principles of Bitcoin, the decentralized nature, the theory that you can bank the unbanked and kind of avoid intervention from third parties that don't necessarily have your best interests in mind. So that's kind of like the background that I came from. That's what brought me in. And to expand on that, I did mine. I did get involved with the early projects that came after Bitcoin, things like Litecoin, Dogecoin, when it was a little different than it looks today. Before it was manipulated by certain wealthy individuals and things like that.
Yep.
But when it was fun, when it was just about tipping, when we sponsored a NASCAR car, things like that.
Really?
Yeah,
Dogecoin, that's right. The Doge,
community came together and got that dog on the hood of a NASCAR car. So I don't know. I was just I liked how new it was and how interesting it was, and so now we've come a really long way from that. I mean, as you obviously know, Ethereum brought the idea of smart contracts to the blockchain, where it's like, okay, we can do more than just store wealth, transfer wealth. We can also have secure smart contracts, do DeFi, things like that. So in my mind, Ethereum was a great proof of concept, but the accounting model that they use on all EVM chains has certain security drawbacks that are a little concerning. And I'm sure, everyone's aware of how many exploits there are on EVM chains. Namely, like, one of the issues is when you interact with a smart contract, such as like on Uniswap or PancakeSwap or something, you have to approve that smart contract to have access to your funds. And sometimes it's more than the amount of funds that you want to use on that smart contract. You're approving it to be able to remove assets on both sides of a trading pair or something like that. So now we have things like Cardano, we have things like Ergo, which provide smart contracts, but on the UTXO model that Bitcoin started with. We now have smart contracts like on Cardano and Ergo. So one of the things I do value about Bitcoin is the proof of work structure behind it. Cardano's taken the consensus mechanism and used what's called proof of stake, which I'm absolutely sure most of your listeners understand, but I value certain things about proof of work, such as I can mine my own coins. I don't need to buy them off somebody else who's already involved in the ecosystem. To me, that's a benefit that's worth the energy output. There's other certain aspects where proof of work can avoid the Howey test. The Howey test, where a government determines that a currency is a security. So in proof of work, because you can participate in the process of creating new tokens or new coins by mining, you're no longer an investor in a security. You're actually a participant in the network. So there's other benefits as well. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but those are some of the things that attracted me to Ergo. They also have some very interesting features, such as NepoPows, which allow you to sort of compress the blockchain so somebody could run a full node on something like a cell phone.
Wow,
without having
really?
to down. Yeah, so NepoPows, it takes certain key points in the blockchain based on an algorithm and compresses everything up to that point and allows you, rather than, because when you do run a full node, you have to download the entire history of the blockchain, and that grows quite quickly when you're doing things like DeFi. Like if you've ever tried to sync Daedalus, it's great up until the last few months.
Yeah.
And then it takes 10 times as long. That's all the extra data in there, right?
Yeah.
So NepoPows would allow that to take much less time to sync and have to store much less data. So that's a technology that Ergo has built into the protocol. So various other things.
It's actually really good to know some of these differences and, the pros and cons, the benefits, and what Ergo has going for it, because I for one am so deeply involved in the Cardano ecosystem, I barely have time to look at other ones. Although I did actually mine Ergo for a while, but with my mining rig that I had, I think I was earning 1 Ergo a week or something, and I had to have that computer running 24 hours a day. So I just didn't have the computing power or the video cards good enough to actually mine a decent amount of Ergo. So that wasn't a good option for me. I had to buy it instead. That was a lot easier.
That usually is easier. You usually get more for your money if you just buy it instead of buying all the GPUs.
Oh yeah.
When it makes sense to buy the GPUs, the price is high enough that the GPUs are in demand, right?
Yep.
So wait for a bear and then get the GPUs.
Okay, so now you've settled on Ergo. You're doing some really cool things now, and you've got this thing called ErgoPad. It's a Launchpad built on Ergo, because Ergo does have smart contracts and can do some really cool things. Now, what exactly is ErgoPad, and what for some of the listeners of this podcast, they haven't even participated in Launchpads. I'm one of them. So can you explain the whole concept behind it and what you guys are building out?
Absolutely. ErgoPad is a launchpad specifically on Ergo at the moment. We do have interest in cross-chain projects, and one of the first ones will be a Cardano Ergo cross-chain project. But what it does essentially allows you to invest early in project IDOs before they're really built. Maybe I should give a little background. When you hold an ErgoPad token or enough ErgoPad tokens and you stake them, so we've built a staking platform on the Ergo blockchain. So this is a smart contract one. So basically when we minted ErgoPad, we left a certain amount available to stakers, and that's linearly distributed daily to anyone who stakes their ErgoPad tokens. When you stake ErgoPad tokens within the tier system, so if you meet a certain minimum number of them, you get early access to ErgoPad projects or projects launched on ErgoPad. So the IDO price would say be 1 cent per token. The pre-sales would be like half a cent or less than that for the stakers of ErgoPad. And sort of the whole point of that is, if you're willing to, hold those ErgoPad tokens for the purposes of investing in IDOs, it shows that you have an interest in investing early and incubating these projects. So rather than having to, for these projects, rather than having to go to a VC and say, I need 500 grand to build this thing, I'll give you, 49% of my company or 50 something percent of my company, and a significant amount of control centralized around one person's decisions. Instead, we go to the community and we say, here's how many tokens we're releasing. You're going to hold this many of them in the community. We're going to keep some for the team. We're going to keep some for the DAO, but we're going to spread that investment around and crowdfund really these projects. So it allows people to get in early, get those low prices that a VC would normally capture without having to, be an accredited investor and jump through the hoops that a government would tell them to jump through. So we can get these devs funded, and we can build the things that we find very interesting on a blockchain we really like, such as Ergo, and and use the community to help that happen.
That is really cool. So, I'm familiar with like ICO's initial coin offerings, and then in the Cardano ecosystem, the initial stake pool offering, the ISPOs as well. So they're very common funding mechanisms. So I really like this method through the Launchpad, because it kind of like anyone that's staking in the Launchpad, you know how many potential, people that are interested in the projects are, because you can see how many wallets are staking to the platform. So you have a number, and you can get, extract a potential value out of that amount of stakers to be able to fund a certain project. So it's a very cool way of doing it. So and thank you for explaining it that way too. So how does the process then work for various projects that are looking to launch through the Launchpad? Like, do you guys offer assistance for launching or anything like that?
We do. We have we've got some systems in place that allow us to create a smart contract where users can first whitelist to express interest in these projects, and once they're on the whitelist, we'll airdrop whitelist tokens to these individuals, and that unlocks the smart contract. So there will be, like, for example, we had a project called Padilla, and that project released so many tokens per round, and those would go into a smart contract where users could send a certain amount of Ergo or a certain amount of a stable coin called SIG-USD, and they would have to send that with their whitelist tokens. So the smart contract expects a transaction that has, if they want to take 100,000 Padilla tokens, they'd send 100,000 whitelist tokens along with the associated funds. And in exchange, they'd get what's called a vesting key, which is it's a utility NFT that we created. So that NFT represents the amount of Padilla tokens they're receiving. And after the IDO, that's released daily to them over a certain period of time. So like the earliest round is the cheapest and has the longest vesting period, so that, like, if we gave every user tokens at 0.5 cent and then released the IDO at 1 cent, and we gave them all those 0.5 cent tokens day one, they could just dump them on the market. It would remove value from others. Yeah. What we want to do is be able to build these projects and then over time create that value that we expressed in the beginning. And so by doing these vesting contracts, it gives the projects time to build, and users don't just dump it. They're not just coming to try and make a quick buck. They're coming because they have faith in that project, and they believe that over that time frame, we're going to generate that value. Yeah, and these projects, they're going through this process because they need the value from the tokens. And if people are just dumping them straight away, and how are they going to pay their own staff, to build up the project? So, are there any other aspects that you guys help out with? We definitely help with marketing quite a bit. We've built a bit of a Twitter following. We've got our Telegram and Discord communities growing now. So we'll post all the same things that the project will post. We'll bring our community on. As I said, the stakers in our project will be interested in the IDOs that we're launching. So it exposes these devs to this community that we've created. So that's one of the benefits. We also we're building these smart contracts on Ergo and with ErgoScript. So our dev team can consult with these projects and help them bring theirs to reality. So that's another benefit. But yeah, it's mainly the marketing. It's mainly the marketing and the community is what we bring to the table, as well as facilitating the actual IDO, because we have that automated process from start to finish now.
Which is so cool that it's automated. And for a lot of projects, like if they're core developers, and that's basically all they do, they probably would lack the marketing skills. And
that tends to be the case. Yeah, you either get a team of very good developers or a team with a great idea, but they don't know how to build it. So they'll need to raise funds to pay developers and bring people on, or vice versa. So I think you're right. I think it's best for groups of developers who don't have the marketing behind them, because we can really help with that side of it.
Which is fantastic. Now, you mentioned ErgoScript. I don't know much about the smart contract language or how that's built out on Ergo. So is ErgoScript very complex like Plutus is on the Cardano ecosystem, or is it a little bit more straightforward?
I wish I knew more about Plutus to answer that question. Cardano building on Haskell and writing their own smart contract language, Plutus, I think it was a smart choice in a lot of ways. Haskell is a very interesting language. It's a functional programming language, so it's a little bit different than your typical it's a totally different way of writing code, but it's and a lot of people can say that it's sort of just for university professors or things of that nature. But if you write in functional code, it's more of a guarantee that it's going to do what you expect it to do. The variables are immutable. I think it was a good choice to use Plutus, and ErgoScript is a little bit similar in that it's built on Scala, which is also a functional language.
Yeah, there are definitely similarities there, and I do like that there are those type of similarities, and they're using the same aspects, which are very appealing for smart contracts on Cardano. So that's really good to know, and the brief explanation that you had there really helps. Who is the team behind ErgoPad? Is there a team of developers there, a team of marketers?
Yeah, we've grown quite a bit recently, actually. At the moment, we have two full-time marketers.
Yeah.
We have a few community managers, one of them representing the Chinese community. So they translate everything that we put out into Chinese, and they also run a Telegram and I think it's QQ group. We have, at the moment, 3 full-time devs, 1 full-time contractor doing front end. We have a UX team with a graphic designer, and then myself and the CTO. So we've grown to quite a big team over the past few months. We launched end of December, early January, with just 2 of us. Actually, there were 3 of us. Our first marketing guy left to move on to other projects, but we were very small at first, and we've had some success, and so we've had to grow, and it's been a lot of fun. So
that's actually quite fast growth, since December, January, and now it's April. It's only 3 months since January.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal growth. That's really cool. And I've seen some of the projects that have gone through the Launchpad as well. So 2 successful projects and a couple that are in the pipeline as well. Can you talk about the projects that have gone through and what you guys have launched?
Absolutely, yeah. So the first project we launched is called Padilla, which is it's a DAO management tool set. ErgoPad itself is a DAO with only, at the moment, a few people who are voting on the decisions. We made the decision to start with Padilla because we need those DAO tools as well. It's not just for the community, but it'll help us to manage our treasury. So basically, it'll allow you to create a DAO start to finish without having to know how to code. So you can initiate the DAO, determine the governance structure, determine the voting configuration, distribute the tokens. You can even do public or private sales or airdrops right on the platform, and set up your tokenomics in the platform. And then once you've distributed the tokens, you can fully manage the DAO, and users can come in and put their votes through. You can make proposals, and the system will count the votes and submit those proposals to the blockchain to release the treasury funds. So it's going to allow that. It's going to allow conversations about it. There's going to be a full comment section for every proposal, and it should take the difficulty out of creating and managing a DAO. We'd like to also experiment with various governance structures and various fundraising methods. One thing that's on the horizon that we'll get to after the MVP is released is an interactive token offering, where it's kind of like a Dutch auction. So users will say, I'm willing to spend between this much and this much on a project. And they commit funds within that frame, within that price window, and then that will adjust the overall price of the project. And so in a given time period, people will say, one person will say, I'll put 5,000 in between 1 cent and 2 cents. And somebody else will say, I'll put 5,000 between 2 and 3 cents. If there's only 8,000 available, the person who was willing to pay more gets their 5,000, and the person who paid less gets the remainder, the remaining 3,000. So instead of a project defining how much the token starts at, the users can define it kind of like a Dutch auction. I don't know if I mentioned that, but if you Google Dutch auction, that'll kind of explain it in more detail. So we want to build tools like that as well, right? So
really cool, interesting mechanisms. It's like it gives projects so much flexibility there, and having that, just at the get go in the Ergo ecosystem, that's awesome. And then, like you said, you're integrating a lot of that into your own DAO as well, right?
Yeah. So that's Paideia, and it's definitely in the beginning stages of writing those smart contracts. The UX is nearly done. We're building the website and several other things. So that one was super successful. All the pre-sales sold out, and the IDO there was so much demand that we basically locked up the Ergo decks.
Oh, right.
So, which is great. I mean, the whole point of doing this, I mean, our main goal really is to bring innovation to the Ergo blockchain, and to break things so that we can fix them and make them be able to handle, the Ergo is quite small right now, right? So we want it to be able to handle a huge amount of users. We want to grow to Ethereum levels and beyond, right? So breaking things now is perfect. I mean, the team saw what happened and has already patched in some ways. So the Ergo Dex is better for it. So, we just want to keep bringing more of that to the table. So
that's cool.
So that's Paideia. We've done ErgoGames.io, which is like, they want to be the Epic Games of Ergo. So they've got two of their own games already. One of them is based around an NFT project they launched. So you can load your NFT in the game, and it started out like a Tamagotchi, but it's moved into more of like an RPG kind of experience. And then they've got something called Monster Pub Brawl. So it's a lot of fun stuff. They want to release a lot of interesting, fun games that make blockchain gaming more about the fun of it rather than about just earning money. So that's their goal. So we're in the middle of their IDO at the moment. And then we've got Ergo Lend, which is, the goal is to bring microfinance to the unbanked of the world. So they're a super interesting project. I mean, I urge you to look more into Ergo Lend. I think they were on the Cardano Catalyst program. I'm not 100% sure about that. But Haskell Plus, Chris Ray, one of the leads in Ergo Lend, is very involved in the Cardano community. So they're coming up in May. We've got a really cool game coming up in June called Dark Pool. And then we have a data analysis project called Azorus, which wants to make it so that you can decentralize data analysis and machine learning tasks through blockchain. So that one's going to be huge. I mean, you really need that amount of data in order to do DeFi well. To make bots, they need to know what's going on. So having efficient data collection and analysis is going to be a big deal. So, and we've got more on the pipeline too, but I'll let you come and join our Telegram and ask questions there if you're interested.
That's amazing. It's so many interesting projects like going through the Launchpad, so that it feels like the ecosystem there is growing for sure, and surely will thrive when things go through. So it's really good to see. How big is the Ergo ecosystem? Like, is there a unit of measure that you can share?
I think we could go with, what's the market cap, around 300,000 right now, or 300 million.
Yeah, 300,000.
300. Oof. Yeah. No, it's still, I mean, even at 300 million, it's still quite small in the grand scheme of things for blockchain.
Yeah.
I believe it was a little bit higher than that in 21, but we're coming back. I think with the robustness of the blockchain and the capabilities, I think it's just taking some people time to figure it out. proof of stake is very popular, and it allows you to be a little bit faster than proof of work blockchains. But for things like proof of work, where the focus really is on decentralization and security, it's smart to have a slow layer 0 and layer 1, and to build quicker layer 2s on top of that. And so that's where we're going with Ergo. I mean, I'm not a core dev, but I do try and follow the core dev community, and they have a lot of layer 2 projects in the pipeline and solutions to some of the problems. Block times on Ergo are 2 minutes. I think Ethereum is quite a bit faster than that. So we could probably make the block time shorter, but you don't need to when a layer 2 solution can get you that speed and that the scaling that you need for a blockchain like this.
Totally makes sense. And I've always thought when the merge happens and Ethereum goes to proof of stake, there's going to be a lot of miners out there looking for something else to mine. And at that point, I could see Ergo shooting up because people are looking for new opportunities, new things to mine, and potentially moving and shifting their mining power over to Ergo. So it's going to be interesting if and when that happens. I'm sure it will happen, but we just don't know when.
I think it's pushed again, but we'll see.
Yeah, it is. it will happen one day, but it's going to be really interesting across the whole crypto ecosystem to see where these miners eventually head off to, and see what else they start picking up. But fingers crossed they do look at Ergo as well and realize it's a potential there.
I think also it's actually more efficient to mine on the Auto-Lycos algorithm. So what that means for miners is that your rig will use less heat and use less energy, or create less heat and use less energy.
Wow. Okay. That's a huge benefit. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah,
very, very cool.
That's a cool feature right there.
Yep. Because cooling these rigs, they run at 75 degrees Celsius. It's quite hot. Burning away, and ruins the lifespan of these GPUs. So anything that you can extend your investment in and earn a little bit more. So we understand now everything from the project side of things, like how and what you're building out and what the team is doing there on ErgoPad. But from a consumer point of view, when participating in the ecosystem, so I just want to clarify this. So I have Ergo tokens and I stake the Ergo tokens, or do you have your own ErgoPad token that we need to purchase and stake to participate in these Launchpad projects? Can you just clarify that?
For sure, yeah. So Ergo is the underlying, and then ErgoPad is a token on the Ergo blockchain. And when you stake ErgoPad tokens, you receive more ErgoPad tokens as a result. We don't give Ergo rewards to stakers because that would just be coming out of our treasury. So, but that doesn't mean in the future there won't be opportunities to stake in exchange for Ergo. Just we haven't designed that yet or built something like that yet. We're building some off-chain bots, which will allow you to do more to contribute to the Ergo ecosystem without necessarily mining. So you could run these bots that help run the Ergo DEX or help fulfill the transactions on the blockchain. So there's various ways, but staking is less of I think much less of a focus on the Ergo blockchain than it is on Cardano. We don't have the ISPO option, but there are some cross-chain projects and there's more coming. So that'll be something to keep an eye on, like Anita BTC. Has the ISPO on Cardano side, but also has the Ergo tokens. So there's interesting things to keep an eye on.
Yeah. And I do like those cross-chain projects. So they're going for the funding over on the Cardano side with the ISPO, but then building out first on Ergo and bringing wrapped BTC over there first, because they've got support from the Ergo Foundation and whatnot. So it made more sense. So it just makes it easier. So I am definitely looking forward to some of these cross-chain projects that are launching on both ecosystems. So from a Cardano user's point of view, how do we get our hands on some Ergo and participate in ErgoPad? Because I tried to look on a couple of centralized exchanges. I think I'm a little bit limited in choices here, and I don't really want to mine it. So what are my options?
I think you can pick up Ergo on KuCoin, CoinEx. I think there's a couple more. Is it HitBTC that just launched Ergo?
Not sure. I do know of HitBTC. I don't know the other exchanges.
KuCoin is a good option. Gate.io if you're not in a country that they restrict.
Yep.
But I think KuCoin and CoinEx will be your easiest option at the moment. And I've heard from Dan, the Ergo Foundation's marketing lead, that they do have a couple more in the pipeline just around the corner. So hopefully some larger exchanges will pick up Ergo quite soon.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so people need to purchase from one of those exchanges and then be able to participate within the ErgoPad through the website
Ergo
itself.
Dex. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. So once you get Ergo, you can get ErgoPad on the Ergo Dex.
Right.
Which is the decentralized exchange on Ergo.
Yeah. Okay.
So as long as you get Ergo, then once you're in the ecosystem, you can trade through all the different, because there's also a stable coin built on Ergo that's algorithmically backed.
Yeah.
Built on the AgeUSD. Yeah. Sigma USD built on the AgeUSD protocol. So I think something similar is coming to Cardano really soon, or if not already on there.
Yeah. Jed. Okay. So let me just clarify
Jed, that's right. Yeah.
So I can't just go to ErgoPad and participate directly in a Launchpad project with Ergo. I have to use the ErgoPad token.
Okay, so yeah, I can elaborate on that. So if you get the ErgoPad token and you stake in the tier system, typically we do 3 fundraise rounds. So we'll do the staker round where everyone who is staking in a tier gets an automatic allocation. So they just have to whitelist for that, and then they're reserved that amount, and then they can come and exchange Ergo or SigUSD for it. Then we also typically do public rounds, which are open to the public, but those are first come, first serve. However, if you stake ErgoPad tokens in the tier system, you get 1 hour early access to those first come, first serve whitelist signups. Usually those sell out quite quickly, meaning we never get to the hour doesn't go through and we don't actually get to people who don't stake ErgoPad. It depends on the project. And sometimes we'll still have a wait list because not everyone who whitelisted takes all the tokens they whitelisted for. So we generate a wait list. So you don't have to stake ErgoPad tokens to get into these projects, but it gets you a way better chance of getting in early in the earlier rounds. And then of course you can always get into these projects after they IDO on the Ergo Dex.
Gotcha. Okay, now I understand. So buy the Ergo token from an exchange, move over to Ergo Dex, where you can possibly buy some ErgoPad tokens, stake them in the ErgoPad ecosystem to be able to get the whitelisting. Once you get the whitelisting, you have that early access. Then you can use your Ergo or SigUSD to purchase those tokens for that project at an earlier and lower price.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. Not complicated at all.
It sounds more complicated than it is, I think.
Yeah. But I guess once you're already in the ecosystem and you have some of those assets already, like you got the SigUSD, you got the Ergo all ready to go, and you have some ErgoPad tokens that are staked, then at any of those point in times, you get a new project launches, you can just go bang, bang, bang. You can just purchase right away. Okay. But it's the first initial steps that you need to go through to actually be set up in that ecosystem and then ready to go.
That's right.
Okay.
And staking APY at the moment, I think, is something like 215%.
That is appealing too.
So,
yeah.
And it's going to decline slowly for the few years that we have staking set up.
Yeah.
And we may extend the staking rewards after. So,
okay. So what is the best wallet to use to interact with ErgoPad and even ErgoDex?
Your best bet right now is Nautilus wallet. There's also a wallet called SafeW, which I think works well. And then on your mobile phone, you can use, I think it's just called Ergo Wallet. So
Good
if you
name.
look up, yeah, like Android Wallet or iOS, I think you may need to run the test flight software on iOS. And if you're not comfortable doing that, you're better off using a desktop computer. But our system now, we have functioning with the DApp connector on the mobile wallet and on Nautilus.
Okay. So no Yoroi.
Yoroi stopped working recently.
Interesting. Okay.
I can't even open it. I mean, I have Cardano as well. I can't even open Yoroi.
Yeah. It's a little slow. They do need some new indexes, so it's a little painful. But I've always had Yoroi with my Ergo wallet in there. There's nothing in it, and I was hoping I could eventually use it, but it doesn't sound like it's the wallet to use for Ergo either.
Unfortunately, not anymore.
Okay.
We were supporting it, but we've been the first to use certain aspects of the Ergo app kit, which Yoroi doesn't support. So once they support those systems, it'll be fine. But at the moment, Nautilus is your only or your best bet on desktop.
Okay, Nautilus. I'll look into it. All right. Now, there's a lot of references and links I need to put into the show notes for this episode. But of course, what are ErgoPad's references, links? We've got the website, ErgoPad.io. So that's the first one there. What about, are you on Telegram, Discord, all those channels?
Yes. And actually, if you go to ErgoPad.io, the first right there, you'll have links to Telegram, Discord. We're very active on both. I would say more so on Telegram at the moment. And then any of the projects that we launch will have their own socials. So if you go to the projects page on our website, you can see all the different projects that are upcoming and that have launched, and they have links to all their socials as well. So that's probably right through ErgoPad.io as your best bet to get into all those things.
Okay, brilliant. I'll put all those links in the show notes and the video description so that anyone can find out more about the projects.
Amazing.
Awesome. All right. Marty, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and teaching me essentially all these new aspects about Ergo that I didn't know about, and of course, ErgoPad as well.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's been good. All right, thanks. So what do you think? What do you think of Ergo? Are you interested in any more of this type of content? I would consider it if you guys are interested, and I'll do a couple more coverages of these particular projects on the Ergo ecosystem. And as Marty said, there are some of these cross-chain projects such as a Neta BTC, and I have done videos on them before. Links in the top right hand corner for you there. Now, if you really enjoy this type of content, if you want to hear more of it, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click the notification bell, and you hear more from me real soon. See you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.